All right, Jabosai, good morning. Let us begin. So we are continuing in Tzidkas Hatzaddik this morning in Os Mem Aleph. So remember again, just to review a little bit what we accomplished over the last 2 days, is Hatzaddik really introducing us to two incredible ideas. Idea number one was that when you go ahead and you have emunah, when you possess emunah, the mitzvah of Anochi Hashem Elokecha, the belief in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in all its three parts as espoused by Reb Tzadok, so that saves you from Lo Yelecha Elohim Achirim. That ultimately saves you from falling prey to false gods, whether those are theological false gods or the different kinds of false gods that seek to derail us over the course of life. Part two, Reb Tzadok advanced with this idea, quoting the Medrash Tanchuma, that every time we go ahead and we perform a mitzvah, a malach is created. And the job of that malach, it's interesting because I think many of us associate that with things that we tell children, but in reality it's correct. Every time we go ahead and we perform a mitzvah, a malach is created. And the job of that malach is to protect us, once again, from the dangers of the world, which on a very real level means that the more one bolsters themselves with holiness, ultimately, again, the more one is protected from the negative influences in life. There's one exception to that set of tzaddik, and one exception to that is the mitzvah of Anochi Hashem Elokecha. In other words, why is it that when I perform a mitzvah, a malach is created? It's midah keneged midah. It's reciprocal. Just like the mitzvos were given through a malach, through an agent, through a shaliach, through Moshe Rabbeinu, so too when I perform a mitzvah, I'm given a malach as well. But the mitzvah of Anochi Hashem Elokecha, which was given by the Ribono Shel Olam himself, Kadosh Baruch Hu gave us that mitzvah. When I perform the mitzvah of emunah, it's not a malach that I'm given, but rather I'm given the protection. I'm given the protection and the providence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Now Reb Tzadok says, so b'pashtos, so what does that accomplish? So we're picking up now on page Tzadik Dalid. Well, actually, let's read it in the Bi'uriyah Chasidos, the bottom right-hand column. Ubemakom acher, Amru Chazal ber nosef abrias hamalach mikoach hamitzvah, ki me'etzem hamitzvah umahus hamitzvah hanasis al yedei adam nevra hamalach. So remember again, he's quoting this time from the Zohar, the same idea as we saw in the Medrash Tanchuma, namely that's when you go ahead and you perform a mitzvah, ultimately again a person creates a malach. Now if you look in Shin Ayin Aleph, in footnote Shin Ayin Aleph, he says Zelashono v'yimrulei im tiska lemitzvos kol mitzvah u'mitzvah ya'avdu loch mina malach tov. But it's such an incredible yisod. Every mitzvah I do, I create a malach tov. V'zeh al derech masharim ba'avos ha'oseh mitzvah is fine. So v'gam zeh, I'm now in the left-hand column of the Be'urei Chasidos, page Tzadik Dalid. He says v'gam zeh makbil l'ma shekibu es hamitzvah ayidei malach kidalael. Ube'esem mahus mitzvahs Anochi Hashem Elokecha. But of course, as you mentioned before, the mitzvah of Anochi Hashem Elokecha, the mitzvah of emunah, that what? Shekiblua kol yishma mipi HaKadosh Baruch Hu ba'atzmo, that we received that mitzvah through the Ribono Shel Olam, harei mahusa mis'achades mamish be'elokuso yisbarach. Umuvan shenivra mitzvah niskavazu. So we'll see, here's the issue. So the issue is, what Reb Tzadok is now saying is, if we follow the construct that a mitzvah creates a malach tov, so what does the mitzvah of Anochi Hashem Elokecha, what does the mitzvah of emunah create? Right? So we'll say, so I understand what Reb Tzadok was saying before, is that every single time I go ahead and I do a mitzvah, I create a malach tov. So what does that mean? What that means is that malach's job is to protect me. I create protection for myself through the mitzvahs I perform. So when I perform the mitzvah of emunah, I also create protection, but instead of the malach protecting me, ultimately again, the Kadosh Baruch Hu protects me. Now Reb Tzadok quotes the Zohar, and the Zohar's lashon is that when a person goes ahead, so it's a very interesting distinction, lashon. Listen to this for just a moment. The Medrash Tanchum that we were quoting before, the lashon was asa adam mitzvah achos mosrin lo malach echad. Person does a mitzvah, the Ribono Shel Olam gives them a malach. And again, what's the job of that malach? That malach's job is to go ahead and protect me. Then Reb Tzaddik says, okay, when you perform the mitzvah of emunah, because emunah, anochi, was given by HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you're not given a malach to protect you, but rather it is the Ribono Shel Olam himself who ultimately protects me. Now Reb Tzaddik is quoting the Zohar, and this is very interesting. The Zohar's lashon is that ultimately when a person goes ahead and performs a mitzvah, malach ayidea adam nivra hamalach. A malach is created. So Reb Tzaddik says something amazing. He says, okay, so if according to the Zohar, it's not just that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives me a malach, but I create a malach through my positive, dynamic, spiritual activity. If that's actually what occurs, so I have a different question. So then what happens when I perform the mitzvah of Anochi Hashem Elokecha? It can't be that what? Can't be that what? Can't be that I'm creating a HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Meaning, you hear the chiluk over here? According to the Tanchuma, I'm given a malach. So just like I'm given a malach to protect when I do a mitzvah, I'm kiviyachol given a HaKadosh Baruch Hu when I perform the mitzvah of emunah. But according to the Zohar, it's not just a pshat that I'm given a malach, I create a malach. So what's the parallel process for emunah? When I engage in Anochi Hashem Elokecha, what is it that I am creating? It can't be that I'm creating HaKadosh Baruch Hu, obviously not. So what am I creating? And look what Reb Tzaddik says. This is so incredibly beautiful. He says, "Ube'etzem hamahus mitzvahs Anochi Hashem Elokecha shekiblua muvan shenivra mitzvah niskavazu." Listen to this. Kiviyachol hiskalus hashkachas HaKadosh Baruch Hu bi'atzmo v'lo al yedei malach b'mocho v'daito shel zahaman bo yisbarach b'tzura shel bria chadosha mamish lahavos yesh me'ayin mima shaya efes muchlat. Reb Tzaddik says, do you know what you create through the mitzvah of emunah? You create a new you. Isn't that incredible? Right? Through the performance of a regular mitzvah, I create a new malach, nivra malach chadash. Right? Ultimately, again, but through the performance of the mitzvah of emunah, I have the ability to create something much greater than another malach. I have the ability to recreate myself. When I engage in Anochi Hashem Elokecha, when I bolster and I reinforce my emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, my belief, and I will say that belief in all the ways that we discussed before, when I reinforce that belief, I create a new me. Reb Tzaddik says, what's the pshat? He says, because what emunah has the ability to do is to take someone who's even an efes muchlat. Because efes muchlat means like mamish, like I'm on the bottom of the barrel. Nothing is going right. I'm not doing anything productive. Yet when I go ahead and I reinforce my emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I have the ability to recreate myself yesh me'ayin, something from nothing. Something from nothing. He goes on. Hainu shahaya b'moach v'leiv atum. What does that mean? Something from nothing. Because if in my life beforehand I was living life with a closed mind and a closed heart, mikol hakara be'elokuso yizbarach v'hisan nitpesas etzlo mitzias Hashem yizbarach ke'ayin chas v'shalom. So we'll say sometimes in life I'm going through life with a closed heart and a closed mind. I'm not open to anything. I'm not open to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm not open to spiritual growth. I'm not even open to becoming the best version of me. But then when I go ahead and I engage in Anochi Hashem Elokecha, and I do whatever I can to reinforce my emunah, my belief in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I have the ability to recreate myself, to open my heart, to open my mind, and to create a new me. He goes on. Amnam bekoachis atzmuso v'hiskazchuso lahamin be'emunah berura b'Hashem yisbarach shu matzui zocha ha'adam lehiskalos berura lios nivra u'mischadesh bo hakara mamish sh'Hashem yisbarach yesh hamatzui as tamas. Which I say, just to understand the logic of it. The logic of it is that the Ribono Shel Olam is the ultimate borei, is the ultimate creator. That's if you want to know what the dominant identity of the Ribono Shel Olam is, it is as a borei, as a creator. So when I reinforce my belief in him, says Reb Tzaddik, I too tap into that creative ability. So when I am mechadish and I reinforce my emunah in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that gives me the koach to recreate myself. Va'al yedei is arusa, his orus upsichas alev, Afilu im hiketana ma'od shegod lo hirak yechuda shamacha mitasa sheniftach lo achar kach kepischo shel ulam. And it will say all it requires. Hatzaddik then goes on to say, this he's borrowing from the famous phrase of the Gemara, the Chashon Baruch Hu says to us, Pischuli Pesach kimachat, just open for me a little opening like the size of the eye of the needle, and ultimately again that's all I need to affect incredible dramatic change. All a person needs is a spark of emunah. All a person needs is a spark of Anochi Hashem Elokecha. All a person needs is a little bit of a reinforcing and working and reestablishing that sense of belief in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's all I need. That's all I need. And once I have that, once that begins, then at the end of the day, I have the ability to recreate myself. So I will say, it's such an incredible dynamic. We went from, when you engage in the mitzvah of emunah, yes, you have the ability to go ahead and get the protection and the providence of the Ribbon Shalom, and we've transitioned, Rabbi say now, to when I engage in the mitzvah of emunah. It literally gives me the koach to recreate myself. That when I reinforce my belief in the Creator, that gives me the ability to recreate myself. Even if my heart is closed, my mind is closed, even if everything is shut off and closed off, when I go ahead and I reinforce my belief in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I have the ability to reinvent myself. We'll say, what an incredible thing, because so often in life, we spend so much time focusing on beautiful things, like Torah, like mitzvahs, like all these different incredible, which are all incredible. But yet, again, sometimes I forget about this thing called emunah, and the ability to, says Hatzaddik, to spend some time every day to think about this idea. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the cause for everything. Nothing happens without HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Like the Rambam's Yud Gimel Ikarim, right? But you don't have to use all 13. It's just the belief in HaKadosh Baruch Hu runs my life, who runs the world. Agam zu l'tova. Everything has a to'eles. Everything is for my benefit. I'm so beloved by HaKadosh Baruch Hu. All these things, to reinforce them day after day after day, not only provides me with divine protection, but ultimately, again, allows me to tap into that ultimate divine power, that power of creation and recreation. All right, we'll stop over here. We'll pick up Emir Hashem with Membeis on Monday.